Hi, it's Linda Fox. I'm Senior Reporter PhocusWire. I'm at the World Aviation Festival. We're in the studio in partnership with Pros, and I am with Guido Van Til. He is VP of Digital Strategy at Air France-KLM. Thanks a million for joining us.
Thank you, Linda.
So, KLM particularly had a reputation for coming up with lots of quirky social media campaigns, being first in a lot of channels, chatbots, all those kind of things. So now that you've done that, is there a massive expectation, one from the industry, but also from customers, that you keep producing and you keep being at the forefront of that sort of innovation?
I think definitely expectations are increasing day by day, and what you do today is actually considered normal the next day. So I think that's the world we live in,
Sure.
And we want to live up to that. I would also add that a lot of the cool stuff that we did, you could also regard as sort of actionable services that were really good to actually go viral and promote like that. We have a lot more focus today and being scalable at having these cool services, but then at large scale towards the full customer base.
So one of the things that we talked about for several years was not just the quirks and the marketing campaigns on social media, but actually sales through social media channels.
Yeah.
And I think for some years you actually had quite healthy sales. I saw a figure mentioned of 25 million euros. So now if that was, say, 3 or 4 years ago, where are you at now? Is it continuing to grow? Has it plateaued? How do you keep reminding people that those are the channels that they can buy through?
So I would say that there's maybe multiple definition of sales. So I think there's definitely the promotional part of social media channels. We are out there, we are doing promotions, we are doing campaignable services like that actually triggers customers to go and figure out and maybe buy tickets. That is growing. I think there's definitely where the customers are, and when they are triggered, they will engage with us and come and buy tickets. What you also see is on the servicing side, there is also revenue at stake. Customers rebooking, customers actually looking to find better seats, economy comfort, upgrades.
Ancillaries, I guess?
And all the ancillaries, and we've really grown there as well to facilitate, for instance, payment. So some of the new features already out, I think, for 1.5 years, that in that process, when you're exchanging with a customer, we send you a payment link, which actually then helps you through the payment process. We offer all the payment possibilities that we have also on our .coms, and then it really supports the sales on that, and that's actually also very significant.
So can we assume that 25 million euro is a growing revenue stream for the airline?
Yes, very much so.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Anne, the CEO of Air France, was up on stage this morning, and she was talking about a lot of the integration of the two airlines, not just on the obvious side, the aircraft and other things, but also on the digital side. And I started wondering is how, different cultures, different routes, different expectations perhaps, how do you as sort of digital strategy director manage all of that?
Well, I think this is definitely the situation at hand, and the sort of the challenge from 2004 when we merged to look at, how can we drive synergies and how can we create a group entity that is supporting both airlines. So I think it's been a long journey. I think it's about building trust, about really understanding each other. I personally don't like to blame it on culture when you have differences of opinion. To me, always it's a lot about really listening to each other and understanding each other, knowing what is behind, what is your needs, what do you want to achieve. And I think over the years we've been growing into that and making it more and more natural. And on the digital side, also from a commercial perspective, the whole commercial organization has been acting as a group entity for years. Yeah. And we are following in that, and it's becoming easier and easier. And finally, maybe to add, is that technically we have been busy for the last 3 years creating a common ecosystem to have common APIs, a common front-end architecture, and that also really helps. So now we're all working on one solution, and the whole converging of ideas and actually in deliverables you can see it right there.
And would you say that the same channels would work in both markets and you can just draw the line under it? Or is it, so I think of KLM and WeChat and some of the work you've been doing there, and does that naturally translate to Air France, or are the things that you would do in that market and not in that market?
So the principal thought by creating a single interactional model for all our customers, whether they're Air France or KLM,
everything would work.
But the thought behind it was that we do believe that in China, a consumer has expectations how to interact with an airline, and that we as Air France-KLM should deliver the best experience. And that is irrespective, or if they go to airfrance.com or klm.com.
Right.
At the same time, that Chinese customer is way different than the US customer. So we want to differentiate, but not in that interaction and experience on the brand side, but more be local and be in the market where we are.
So interesting the China element, because obviously I think you did WeChat a couple of years ago now.
Yeah.
Can you just kind of update us on how that's going? You always talk a lot about fishing where the fish are, and how, what are the challenges of that, and what have what have been the surprises perhaps of that?
Well, I would say China is a challenge by itself. So the fact that you have the digital wall, our website is running here, so it's coming a long way. It has bad response times, but it's also not necessarily the platform where Chinese consumers go to. You have the big players, you have Fliggy, you have Ctrip, and you of course have the ecosystems like WeChat.
Yeah.
So the distribution landscape is totally different. So what we're used to do in the US market, UK market, Dutch, French market doesn't work in China. So indeed, WeChat is to me an inevitable part of our strategy. So creating mini programs on WeChat, that is really for us the future, but it also means that we have to reach out to our local colleagues in China, technical partnerships to actually help us create further the experiences there.
Okay. So on top of staying on top of new markets, customer segments perhaps, the markets you're in, your home markets, how are you keeping on top of kind of innovation in general? How do you prioritize what to go after and what not to?
Well, this is a very good question, creating a lot of headaches as well. So indeed, we are part of running the business of Air France-KLM. We are a very serious and significant selling machine. We are servicing in a full customer journey. So a lot of our budgets are into keeping that up, improving it, optimizing it on a day-to-day basis. At the same time, we do see we have to stay in touch with what's happening, look at new technologies, AR, doing tests on that, implementing it on our mobile, scanning your bag to see if it fits on the aircraft, AI, surfacing, supporting our social media surfacing, but also something like voice. Maybe not today sort of a substantial contribution to sales and services, but it's something that we have to develop. So we do make choices to prioritize. I would say it's not gut feeling like that, but really looking what we feel. Maybe we have a nose for it to see, okay, what's going to be hot and what to actually go and look further at.
So I always wonder, every airline has AI, great mobile, great web interface, great user experience. Where's the differentiator?
The differentiation, in my view, is really about taking the stress out of travel. And you can then still say, okay, but everybody's going to have that at one point. I think we are still a long way from that, and we are still trying to sort of keep up or lead the pack in that way. It's a very difficult question to answer. I would also say integrating your loyalty program, incentives for customers that could drive you to us as an airline group, but also our digital touch points. Those are the elements that we're looking at.
But loyalty in itself is changing. How a customer sees loyalty to a brand. How do you kind of manage that?
So maybe a little bit out of my sort of field on that, but we do see that the reward part of loyalty programs is definitely there. It's an incentive to buy tickets to fly with us. We incentivize you, and that definitely drives that part. But loyalty to me is then also about really recognizing our customers and being able to really differentiate. And one of the examples I use also in my presentation is the feedback loop, where a conversation that a customer has had on social media is then followed up by the crew on board. To me, those are really the differentiators that I'm looking for.
When you go to Peter or Anne or both or the board and with your projects and you say, okay, I want money, I want to do this, what are they saying to you?
I think, like Anne said this morning, is that they see that digital and the innovation in the digital experience is really key in the strategy of Air France-KLM. So they're, I would say, fully supportive at investing in that.
So they're not saying how much and when's the ROI?
I think we have a track record of actually proving ROI on our investment. There's, of course, as in any big company, seeing, okay, what is the total investment spend that we can have, and how much of that are we giving or using on our digital experience.
So for all of the projects that come across your desk, how many would you say, or what percentage would you say you see through, and what percentage would you just pull the plug after, I don't know, a few weeks or a month? Or...
I would say it would be 70-30, so 30% doing and 70% not.
Yeah.
And that's
and how are you making that decision?
It's a little bit coming back to sort of, making choices on innovation. To me, it's not necessarily a complete scientific or business case-wise decision-making process, but we try to sort of assess prognosis, how do we think technology or specific proposition will work out? It's something that we do together in the company, not only as a digital department, but also to get support of our customer experience officers in the airlines and our commercial revenue entity.
Guido, thanks again for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Linda.